Okay, guys, today we're gonna be preparing ourselves for an interview. Okay, here I got cut some text from the official job offer they sent publicly. What do they require, and some also information. It's written like that they require NodeJS and React knowledge, and all of that is at least 4 years. Well, we should somehow prepare ourselves for that, because I haven't written React in 2 years, maybe. I think I mostly written Vue. In terms of Node.js, I was using some Nest, maybe some Nuxt server part, but not particularly core Node.js. So I need to bring my knowledge up here also. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use ChatGPT for that. I guess we'll start with the prompt. Okay, I am preparing myself for a job interview as a software developer. Here is some information from the company. Slowly we insert our text here. Что происходит? What's happening? I need you to help me prepare. Please act as a technical interviewer and ask me questions about the stack they require. Typical questions and specific. I don't know. Let's start with that. Let's start with those questions. Okay. I act like a technical interviewer and focus on the stack and skills required by the company. I'll cover both typical questions and specific ones relevant to the job's description. Let's dive in. Node.js questions, basic concepts. What is the difference between set timeout, set immediate, and process next tick in Node.js? Well, set timeout. With set timeout function, you can set a delay in microseconds, and it will put the call of the function somewhere in the queue. Well, I'm not entirely sure about how the queue is arranged, though. Process next tick. It has something to do with event loop in Node.js. It means like the main thread executes and instructions go one after another. Then you make some async call, and that comes to some sort of queue. And I think there are two levels of those queues. One is, I don't even remember how they call, because it's not really that important, I think. And I bet that the difference is that set timeout puts if you like make a zero delay and queue some function set timeout to zero delay, it should come, I guess, after set immediate, because I suppose so. And process next tick, maybe that will run even after that in the next cycle. I guess I should bring up my knowledge in the terms, like how are they called, those steps. Yeah. I guess I failed this one. Next one, explain the event loop in NodeJS. How does it work? That was what I was talking about. I don't remember how it's called, but there's a main loop and there's a some other event queue for the async tasks, and also some sort of privileged queue, I think. I guess I should read about this. How would you handle asynchronous operations in Node.js? Well, I would create a function with the async declaration, and inside of that function I will call async operation and await the result using await statement, and then proceed further, and I will catch the errors using try catch. If it's a small operation, then I could, I don't care much, or maybe there is nothing much to do after the execution. Maybe I would write it the old style using then catch and finally commands. I don't know, it depends on situation. The most of the time I would use await. What are streams in Node.js and how they're useful? Well, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I don't know a shit about streams. I guess it's kind of the same like in C. There's a standard stream, the error stream. I'm not really sure how it relates to Node. Explain how require works and the purpose of the common JS module system. Okay, require works by including the file you specify. I'm not really sure how it works on the hood though. I think require uses async loading. So most of the time you could use require to asynchronously load some code, but usually you just use it to include files, modules in your code. But it also can be used to asynchronously load the code on demand. And with the import statement, which is a more recent system, things kind of work a little bit differently. Yeah, I hate theory questions like has nothing to do with actual knowledge of programming. How would you optimize an SQL query Node.js application? God, that's kind of stupid question. Why? What SQL query? How SQL query relates to Node.js application in the first place? I guess okay. I guess Node.js you would use something some sort of maybe a low-level SQL client, like libmysql or something. Or maybe you would use an ORM system like Drizzle or Prisma or something like that. And the way to optimize it, I think, basically are the same. You analyze slow queries, like what queries takes up the most time, if it's select queries, and you maybe if you find some places where you could add indexes to make things go faster. Maybe even you could check how the low-level MySQL server is set up, because if you take my SQL server for example, there could be storage format differences. Like there could be my SM, which is generally faster but doesn't support transaction. And there could be other types of storage. You could do that. But first step is to see if the first step is to see are your queries are optimal. So you set up debugging system and look for queries that take a long time, like more than a second or 2 seconds, and then you try to figure out, are they optimal queries? Do they have to be like that? Maybe you could reduce them somehow. If it's maybe it's a simple fix. If not, then you look at indexes, like by what fields selections and joins are done. Maybe you could add indexes to some tables and things will go faster. Well, these are the first steps I would take. Okay, next question. What are connection pooling and transactions in databases, and how would you implement them in NodeJS? Connection pooling and transactions. Yeah, well, I'm not sure what a connection pooling is, but from the name of it, I suppose that there may be a pool of connections is preparing to be used by several queries, much like an say Nginx or Apache server launches several copies of itself, preparing for the high load. Maybe that's what they're talking about here. I guess there are libraries that do that, so in the event of sudden spike of the load when many requests are coming, so the system not using just one connection to the database to perform selects and other operations, but rather have several, say 5 connections to the server ready and uses them in a pool. I guess that's it. How do they in Node.js? I'm not sure, but I would Google or ask ChatGPT for this, and I will do that. I suppose ORM like Drizzle supports that. It's not a big deal. How would you? Yeah. Well, I write myself SQL connection pooling. Уточнить. I'll write here something that I think I answered badly. I guess how require works. Or maybe it's like a difference with import. It's I guess that's the real question that they will be asking. Streams in Node.js. I don't know anything about it. How would you single asynchronous event loop on just that's the basic one. Event loop in Node.js. I guess that like a basic stupid question, like everybody must know, like in front end they ask what are events bubbling, like really stupid question, like you might know this stuff, like you might not know this stuff, and that doesn't affect your front end work nowadays in any way, but still they ask the stupid questions, like there is some sort of indication. There is actually not. Okay. Can you compare ORMs like Sequelize, Drizzle, Prisma with the raw scale? Which one do you prefer and why? Well, there are some advantages in using ORM systems. First of all, some of them provide a good abstractions for database access. For example, I guess Prisma and Sequelize, they abstract away the interface, so you could easily swap database using, maybe you can start with SQLite and then change it to MySQL, and then in your code wouldn't change much. That is the first good thing about them. No, and also and if you use something like Drizzle doesn't offer you a good abstractions. It's highly tied to MySQL, Postgre, MySQLite database, but it's nevertheless it's really useful because it provides typing. The other thing that all those things provide is typing. Like when you're using TypeScript, you don't have to worry about the types. Like you create this schema for the database, and then you got entities, highly typed entities. You can. Okay. The other thing the ORM usually has is like how do you call it? Migrations. When you change the code and it creates an incremental updates to the database, so it makes it easier, like when you just code some stuff and then you apply the migration on your development machine, then also the production machine, while the raw SQL basically doesn't have any typing, and yeah, it could be useful sometimes for long and optimized queries, like very flexible queries, but generally it's better to use something like, I would use Drizzle nowadays. Yeah. Oh, this one I hate. What is the difference between REST and SOAP? I really don't know what SOAP is. I really don't. I guess it's like something XML related. I know what REST is, though. And I remember I actually did research this question, like what SOAP is, but I just didn't remember, because what the fuck, I didn't use it. It's some version of standard where you call some HTTP endpoints and you get some results. I'll write here to investigate further. How would you design RESTful API for a source like a user? Well, I would create a /user path. I mean, what do you mean? Like, what are the URLs will be and what are the methods? Like, or what library would I use? I mean, like, it's a kind of weird question, but let's suppose you ask about REST in general. Well, it states like there are 4 operations: create, update, delete, create, update, delete. 3 operations. Еще там есть типа also they have like patch. So for create user, the rel will be this method will be post, details will be in body, there will be some JSON in the body of the message. For update, it will be get еще, also get. For update, it will be like user/id. Method will be patches for partial update, and put is for replacement, generally for all the properties, but if you need partially update the entity, you would use patch partial. And to get information about, get the list of users, it's a good one. Get one, get many. To get a specific user, you would call this one with the method of get. To call a list of users, you would call this with the method of get. And maybe some filters as params, query params, filters, or pagination. And create update patch for delete. Method will be the same, like this, but method will be delete. So if it's the question about REST structures, that is the answer. How would you implement request validation in Node.js API? I don't know what you mean here. I mean, like you would use some server like Express. Maybe now I'm using Next mostly, and this server would check the, usually it is called like middleware. You put a handler between the okay, you set up a middleware and you mark it like this. This URL, this method requires this middleware to check validity in this, and then the validity validates the parameters for the requests, like does the user has rights to do this operation, and if the parameters good, are they like proper. For that I would basically use Zot. I think recently I used that a lot. And if there is some problems, the middleware should return the appropriate code, like 400 for bad stuff and 500 for really bad stuff. Something like that. I'm not sure what Node.js API is here. What do they mean? How would you write tests for Node.js application? Well, I guess I would use something Mocha related, something like Jest. I would install Jest and write tests inside. What the difference between unit integration and end-to-end testing? Unit integration and end-to-end. Well, testing unit, it's like you testing your part of the project by yourself. You write the Jest tests and mock data yourself, and only test like functions and services inside your own application. But when we're talking about integration testing, that's when you test some parts of system that are talking to each other. Like maybe it's with your service with the database, like something like that. Maybe if you have microservices, maybe they testing together, something like that. And what about end-to-end testing is you practically replace the user of the application entirely. So you emulate the user coming to a site and clicking over some stuff, maybe registering himself, buying something, like navigating the site, and that is done with some special tools like Cypress. Have you used testing frameworks like Jest, Mocha, or Cypress? If so, explain how they differ. Well, we basically just talked about that. Jest is used for unit testing inside your own code, and also Mocha, I guess it's kind of the same. Or maybe I don't know what this means. I thought Mocha was kind of standard for writing tests, like it, describe, kind of like that. But library, I guess it's original library, just some implementation of that behavior. While Cypress is end-to-end testing. Distributed systems. What challenges have you faced when working with distributed systems? What challenges did I have? Okay. Yeah, I can't think of any. I'm sorry. Maybe I had some difficulties, but I just can't. Yeah, I can. If we spend some time thinking about it, the problems might be with data synchronization. Like if the system is distributed, the one issue that system will always have is synchronous data between the nodes handling the data. So there should be some sort of a orchestrator that does the balancing and synchronization, or maybe there should be, if it's a like event-based system, maybe there should be some sort of a event bus with memory, like Kafka, that would remember all the events and allow the different parts of the system have the necessary information. How to ensure fault tolerance or scalability in distributed NodeJS system? Fault tolerance. Okay. I guess on the top of it all, there should be some system of virtual machines like Kubernetes or something like that. A server that launches many containers and also orchestrates like which one of them is running and ready. And also simplest way to balance things would be to create like several entries and DNS records on the same address, so to make it like a round robin. I guess you could use Cloudflare.com to balance traffic on your site to different hosts, and then you can manually create a system that replicates database between two hosts, for example, and having the same front end. Well, it really depends on the problem you're solving. In different cases, there should be sophisticated orchestration. In simple cases, there could be like two virtual machines with no rancher Kubernetes stuff, just balancing with DNS. It's kind of like that. Explain how to implement caching in distributed NodeJS application. Well, you would need to know what that is okay to be cached. First of all, if your system allows time delays between, like how fresh the data should be. With that said, you could use something like Redis server service running on each of the hosts. For example, caching the query results, something like that. Imagine you need an integration for a new payment provider in an accounting application. What steps would you take? Well, I would Google for API documentation. I would search up for the client modules available in npm system already. Maybe there are official modules for that payment provider. If not, there should be an API configuration. Then I would find out how to use this API in test mode, how to register a test user and make fake payments. And then I would implement that payment system in the way that is native for the project, like using the handlers and interfaces of the project. I would heavily test that on fake payments, and then would push it to the QA department. How do you ensure the reliability and consistency of data in distributed storage setup? Yeah, well, I guess there are many ways of doing that. Like you could set up like several Postgres instances and high-speed replication between them, and that would work well in like 90% of cases. Also, you could I'm not sure if we're talking about databases here. Maybe it's distributed storage setup. If it's files, there are also solutions for that, but maybe it's best to use existing solutions for if it's files. I don't know, depends on very specific case. Suppose a client API requires SOAP connection. How would you handle this in Node.js? Okay, we've come to the point that we need to Google what SOAP is. Yeah, we just open another tab here. Simple object, protocol-based communication. Yeah, I was right. So it's like REST, but exchanging XML files. Okay, what libraries just use for SOAP? SOAP, most popular, Node SOAP. Requires SOAP, SOAP create client. Well, that's the answer to your question. The question was, suppose a client AP requires SOAP connection. How would you handle this in Node.js? Well, I would install SOAP client and read documentation and do all that stuff. How would you assess the performance impact of new feature on the entire Node.js application? Yeah, I'm not really sure. I guess you would install some sort of a telemetry application for that. Maybe logging. In the simplest case, you would just log the events into file. More complicated ways, like use some telemetry, open telemetry protocol to log the time it took for different parts of your system to execute. But maybe, just maybe, in the recent Node there are some specific methods for this. I'm not a Node expert in any way, so probably. Okay. Should we end here or also? Yeah, maybe the best way is like to investigate here the questions I failed, and then make another video about React. So let's open another one and tell me briefly about Node.js event loop and difference between set timeout set immediate. I actually used set immediate once to split heavier jobs to make some air for other code to run. I remember using set immediate. Set immediate and process next tick. The Node.js event loop is a mechanism that handles asynchronous operations. It continuously processes and executes the tasks in different phases: timers, I/O callbacks, idle, prepare, poll, check, and close callbacks in non-blocking way. This ensures that Node.js can handle multiple operations without waiting for any single operations to complete. Difference between set amount 0, set immediate, and process next executes before the event loop continues to the next phase, even if you schedule during an ongoing phase. It has the highest priority and runs immediately after the current operation completes. Used for different tasks that must execute before any I/O. What timer means? Set timeout not executes the timer phase of the event loop. It doesn't mean it executes immediately. It will execute after last one full iterations of event loop. Used for scheduling task with delay. Set immediate exit check phase of the event loops. It's designed to execute task immediately after the current poll phase completes, but after any process ticks of the callbacks. Order of execution. Similar three scheduled together. Process tick, set timeout none, set immediate. I mean, why this important to know all the time? Like, why is this a question? Maybe I'm not backend enough to consider this important knowledge. Okay, let's look what Google has to say about this. Maybe there are some diagrams. Node.js event loop. There will be some good pictures, I guess. I like this one. Event loop, single thread. Register callback, intensive operation, file system, database, computation, operation complete. No, that's not specific enough. We need to see some queues. What? This one. Как открыть-то? Well, I think it's a good article, but we will Proceed to the check phase of no timers and you. Key point. The poll phase is where Node.js spends most of its time waiting for new events. Okay. Check phase. What it does. Executes callbacks scheduled by set immediate. Set immediate is executed in this phase after the poll phase completes. If the poll phase has pending IO, the check phase runs on. Close callbacks phase. Clean up operation files like close. Close this exit. Key point. Here is a close. Special also process. Next tick. When it runs. Schedule text field next tick are not part of the 6th phase. Instead, they immediately after the currently executing task and before the event loop moves to the next phase. Oh, why special? It's useful for various tasks over other callbacks, but excessive use can block the event loop. Okay. So next tick like has the highest priority, and set immediate has its own phase. It runs on check phase after polling, and okay, and set timeout and set interval will trigger on the next event cycle, the first. Okay, I get it. Let's write down. There are several phases. Timeouts. Timeouts. IO callback. Timeouts. Timers. It's called timers. IO callback. This is the callback system level operations. Read file. Set them out. Idle prepare. Not important. Poll. Wait for events from network. Plus callbacks. Check phase. Set immediate. Close callbacks. Oh, why did I? It's already summarized for me. Well, okay, that was useful. The next question we have is streams. What are streams in Node.js? Abstractive working with data that is read, write, and sequentially. Read streams. Retrieve stream. Create read stream. High watermark. Writable streams. Create write stream. duplicate streams. Socket on. Transform streams. Process std in pipe. Okay. Basically, I did answer correctly. Like streams, I used to read, write, maybe rewrite information in a event block way, like by blocks or chunks of data, or by events. And a good example of that is an HTTP server or FS for file operations. Yeah, it's kind of boring. I guess if you're using like some strong frameworks, you don't even touch the low-level streams. Okay, streams. Okay, so this will be the good explanation. Good answer. Streams and NodeJS. Here, streams and NodeJS. How require works. Well, for this question, I'm really interested. How will ChatGPT answer it? What's the question again? How require works difference with explain require works and purpose of common genus file system. Okay, answer yourself this one. Designed to enable modular programming, particularly for service area like Node.js. Key features: modules are files, synchronous loading. Modules are load synchronously in order they required. This makes sense for server, but this is unsuitable for browsers where synchronous loading is preferred. Export and import mechanism. Model exports obviously used to define what model exports. The reference used to import those exports in another file. How does require work? The require function is used to import a module in a module. Another module. Search for the specific one with the resonant spot. Okay. The question they wanted to know, I guess it's here, like you define module exports object, and that is what is imported. Once module is loaded, it is cached to ensure subsequent required quality the same don't reload and instead return the cached version. Okay. The module exports as defined by model exports are returned to the file that required it. Okay, loading the module. Yeah, like simple like that. Model exports. Oh, I didn't specifically ask for it, but here it's made a comparison. CommonJS has been widely used, but it's gradually been replaced by ES modules. in modern JavaScript. Yes, modules. Another standard for both browsers and server side. Key differences: syntax. CommonJS require and model experts in ESMS, import, and export. Execution: CommonJS synchronous, ASM asynchronous, better for browsers. I guess that should be an answer to the question. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, only wanted. Okay. Another question. What is another question I failed to answer myself? I actually I think I answered it pretty good, but still. What is that? How to implement in NodeJS? MySQL create pool. Okay. Query database. Yeah, I did answer correctly. It's a pool of connections, and they're ready to go, and they are reused when they are free. And so to every request, you just specify the pool instead of the one handler. And as it's shown here in an example, MySQL new module MySQL2/promise provides the create pool method. Pool get connection. Yeah. Using drizzle. Create pool. The bedroom. Okay. Okay, you just initialize the pool and you pass it to drizzle, and away it goes. Okay, alright. Actually, I did answer it right, but you also should know that there is a function called create pool in MySQL, and you, instead of create server, you make create pool, and off you go. What is SOAP? It's let's call it create pool. It's kind of the answer. Help me. Well, also, I kinda answered this one, but I wanna know what is correct answer. GPT thinks is appropriate. How would you implement request validation? Choose validation library. Okay, that I did talk about. I said I was using Zot for that. Define validation middleware. Yeah, we talked about middlewares also. Schema, validate request schema. Define validation schemas for IP endpoints using dot. Yeah, right. Apply middleware to routes. Validate request. Yeah, right. So using Express. I think using Express is okay. I was completely correct on this one, but I kind of like the examples shown here because I think it could easily be in the 15 minutes interview also, like create a simple Express server with validation and stuff. Yeah, okay, it could easily be the question. Request, validate request. Okay. Just validate request. It creates and returns a function. Request from Express. This response. Next function. Yeah, this one. Example of creating a middleware. It's kind of important because I don't have it on the tips of my fingers. I used Next most of the time, on Nest, and in those frameworks it's all wrapped, and you just place files instead of defining handlers for middleware, so it's useful. And now, what is the last one? How would you see the performance impact of what? This one is interesting. How would you assess the performance impact of a new feature on the entire Node.js application? Define the scope, understand the feature, identify the part of the application the feature impacts, specific routes, database queries, or external APIs. Set performance goals, define acceptable performance metrics like response time or memory usage or CPU load. Use performance profiling tools, building tools. Use Node.js building profiler with the inspect flag. For example, Node.js inspect. Open Chrome DevTools to analyze the performance. Yeah, but this is for front end maybe. Node.js inspect. Third-party tools, CleanJS. Great for diagnosing bottlenecks. NodeJS auto cannon, a benchmark tool testing about the latency. PM2 monitor application production. I think I should study those. Like, I mean, low stress testing, simulated real world traffic. Okay, K6 or Apache Gmeter. Slow query log, okay. Key metrics. This interesting. Monitor key metrics, use again. Memory leak detection. Check a new feature introduces memory leaks. Use. Watch next. Use real user monitoring. Study code analysis. Yeah, okay. I get the picture. I guess firstly I should investigate this one. Okay, I really don't know what it does. Let's read some file like test.js. Let's have a look. Hello. Not test. Debug listening. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's the same that runs in VS Code. Okay. Set points, performance. Yeah, this one is useful also. Okay. I think I will save it. Okay, I'm really tired. I guess that's gonna be all. It's gonna be end of the first part. Questions about Node.js. Next part about React should be a different video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.